Hey, Dr. Bill. One thing that people really want to know is why did you decide to start Aroga? Could you elaborate on that?
Now that's a question I get quite often, so I think putting it out here on the web will help people share it. But I started in 1981, really trying to figure out what the active ingredient in aloe was, and by 83 we had isolated acemannan. And then since aloe had been used in wound healing, we developed wound products, Carrington Herbal wound gel. They're still for sale today, and they're in the top products used nationwide. Aloe acemannan is a powerful stimulant of the macrophage, and when it stimulates the macrophage, one of the things macrophages do is see that TNF down there. That's TNF alpha right there. Macrophages release TNF alpha, and they do that. They'll go up and look at a cell, and if this cell is defective, they'll release TNF alpha, and see that goes straight to apoptosis, which causes the cell to digest itself.
Okay.
And that's just been worked out in the last 25 years. The first pathways, and all these different pathways that we're seeing here were discovered after I found acemannan.
Okay.
And we learned that acemannan could induce apoptosis because it worked without toxicity. Worked on all kinds of cancers. And we got it approved for animal cancer as an immune stimulant. And it worked, it had to work through some unknown pathway.
Right.
But we did the studies and submitted them to FDA and got it approved.
So you knew it worked, you just weren't quite clear on exactly how
it worked. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And even today, you don't have to know how a drug works.
Right.
If you know how it works, it can help you choose how to use it.
Right.
But you don't have to know how it works. And it's a mannan, and even though we can make mannose, it's known that 70% of the mannose that we use comes from the food we eat.
So you say when we can make it, you mean our bodies have the ability to produce it.
Exactly, our body has the pathway to produce it. But as it turns out, it would rather get it from the food we eat.
Sure.
And so aloe is rich in it, and aloe then helps make cytokines. See that area up there?
Right here?
Yeah, make cytokines. And then the first thing, cytokines are really the hormones of the cell. They communicate cell to cell, to many cells, or back to themselves. For example, we developed vaccines. And in that case, it activated, see the Jake's
This one?
stat? Yeah. That causes, when you turn that on, it causes all lymphocytes to multiply. So you get more natural killer cell lymphocytes, you get more CD8s, more CD4s, and more B cells. And the B cells make antibodies.
Okay.
So that explains, how these pathways are used and what aloe can do for us. It helps your adaptive immunity, that's when you make antibodies. And it's your innate immunity, which you're born with. It turns on the macrophage. And the macrophage is one of the white cells that orchestrates every step of wound healing.
Oh, wow.
So if you can help the macrophage, and you do that because the macrophage goes around your body and finds viruses, bacteria, and fungus, and it finds them by using its mannose receptor on the surface of it.
Here comes that aloe again.
There comes aloe again,
Gotcha.
right? So the macrophage, when it sees Ace Man and it thinks, oh, that's a bacteria, it phagocytizes it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it phagocytizes it, it breaks it up into parts it uses for energy. Like if there are no bacteria or there's no, fungus or virus, it just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add any one of those, it starts moving around because it uses them as food and energy. And they start producing these cytokines. It also could block BCL2, which was the first of that family discovered. And we'll talk about these later, but BCL2 is what B-cell leukemia cells make to block apoptosis so they can live.
Oh, wow.
All cells want to live, even bad cancer cells want to live.
Gotcha.
And what they've done is they've worked out now these other pathways, and I started looking, well, how do we activate these pathways? Because they learned that they're involved in repairing all kinds of cells, like nerve cells in your brain, liver cells, eyes, keep you from getting macular degeneration, if you eat the right foods. Well, as it turns out, all these pathways were put in our bodies so our food, when it brought the nutrient that would help fix your eye or whatever it is, it would activate the right pathway. So it could be ready to use those nutrients to repair itself.
Gotcha.
And these are found in dogs, cats, these pathways, even in flies. In fact, the hedgehog pathway, what they would do with animals like flies, they would knock out that pathway and see what happened. Well, when they knock out the pathway, they quit developing and they look like little bitty hedgehogs. So they called it the hedgehog pathway. So I thought, well, gosh, foods, right now, there's almost 500,000 articles on apoptosis.
Oh, wow.
And they're getting 4 articles an hour at the current rate. And these articles are expensive.
Sure.
The equipment to do one of these experiments can easily cost millions of dollars, and you need several highly trained professionals. So each one of those papers could cost over $1 million.
Yeah.
I know I had about 40 papers, and we spent $50 million.
Oh, wow.
And that was, old money. That was in 80 money, 1980. So that would be a lot more today.
Sure.
But they're spending all this money because they can repair these cells. If they can't be repaired, they're removed. So you won't have the toxic cancer drugs. Like today, we now know that all cancer drugs damage these cells a little more. They're toxic. So that these different pathways can activate and kill the cancer. Whereas food does it naturally.
Right.
So they're not put there so cancer drugs will work. They're put there so food will work. And we don't eat those foods like we used to.
Right.
We modified our diet. We've even changed, like corn, for example, is fixed where it's resistant to Roundup.
Right.
And they had to change it molecularly. And these changes have caused a lot of problems they're realizing now.
Yeah.
Like you've probably seen on TV, if you were exposed to Roundup,
Call this phone number.
This phone number and the doctor
Yeah,
will
I've
argue
seen that. Yeah.
we get you some money.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to see if I couldn't find foods that activated the different pathways and make them available, and that's Aroga.
Right.
That's
So
his
yeah,
Aroga.
you didn't want to stop with just the aloe. You saw the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we've been doing. And as it turns out, in almost every continent, there are foods that activate each one of those pathways. So everyone could have been healthy. Probably if you could go to the Garden of Eden,
Right. Yeah.
like God said, He kicked them out of the Garden of Eden because He says, now that you have eaten from the tree of knowledge, you'll live forever in the garden. So you gotta go.
Yeah.
We can't have you that smart.
Yeah.
So Anyway, it's interesting that the average healthy person up here, the average healthy person
Mhm.
removes 60 billion aberrant, that's not quite right cells. Something's wrong with them. Some of them could be cancer, they could be, cause you to have different neurologic problems.
Mhm.
There can be all kinds of things wrong with them.
Mhm.
But every day, 60 billion are removed in healthy people
Mhm.
so that they can stay healthy. So just because you have one cancer cell, that's normal. You don't have cancer until, according to Mayo Clinic, he gives you a definition. Cancer refers to anyone of a large number of diseases characterized by development of abnormal cells that divide uncontrollably and have the ability to infiltrate and destroy normal tissue. Cancer often has the ability to spread throughout your body.
Mhm.
So that's when you have cancer that you're using chemo. What you want is your food to take care of those individual cancer cells when they first form, like God designed it.
Right.
And that's what these pathways will do. It's when you don't eat the right foods and you don't remove those cells, now they may multiply, out of control. And then you have what we refer to as cancer today, or virtually all the autoimmune diseases,
Mhm.
the neurologic diseases, are all a result of defective apoptosis. Those cells should not have been allowed to multiply. Like schizophrenics don't become schizophrenic until they're 18, 20 years old, because it takes that long for defective cells to multiply.
Oh, okay.
And then you see the symptoms and they usually get worse. So that's why we developed it, and we're seeing amazing things. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, and to summarize it up, finding the foods that give our bodies what they need to do the job they were designed to do in the first place can help just to avoid all this stuff to begin with.
That's right.
And that's what you're looking for with Aroga.
And I used to wonder, how could eating the right food, like in the Garden of Eden, keep people alive forever?
Yeah.
Well,
There it is.
there it is.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thank you, Dr. Bill. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.